So on this next episode of our Fight View 360 Aussie Boxing Breakdown, we have several topics here to talk to you about on this March the 3rd, 2022, 8:27 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, just outside of Philadelphia. Big J, you there? Tell them where you're from. What time is it over there?
It's currently 12:27 p.m. and I'm in Geelong, which is just outside of Melbourne, Victoria.
Yeah, so about, before we get into things, let's say about 14 hours or so, give or take ago, the younger brother, 24-year-old Nikita Tszyu, made his debut. KO Sports and Fox Sports over in Australia.
That is correct, yeah. KO Sports, I think it was on Fox Sports 505, I think. But
he was the main event on a No Limit boxing show. So basically, I'm going to give you the topic. So if you guys want to skip around, you'll know exactly where we're going to be talking about the next 45 minutes to an hour or so. We're going to start off breaking down the card of Nikita Tszyu, who stopped Aaron Stahl in 2 rounds. The undercard, Dennis Hogan, who fought Jaime Munguia, and Jamal Charlo took on Wade Ryan. He won. Liam Wilson versus a Joe Noynay. Skye Nicolson is making her debut against Jessica Juarez on the undercard of Roman Chocolatito Gonzalez versus Julio Cesar Martinez. And Mauricio Lara versus Emilio Sanchez. Mark Castro versus Julio Madera. That is going to be on Saturday, March the 5th on the Zone. The card's going to start at about 8 p.m. or so Eastern Standard Time. Outside of Australian boxing, if you're watching this video before then, expect for me to have post-fight videos up on those fights. We're going to talk about what's going on with Michael Zerafa versus Issac Hardman, which is supposed to be taking place on April the 20th here in the States. Since we're talking about it, I'm going to try to find a way to cover that fight. I've been covering Mick Zerafa since he fought Peter Quillen years ago. Then we're going to talk about Briedis versus Jai Opetaia, what's going on with that. It was delayed from April the 6th. It was Briedis that came down with COVID, right, Big J?
Yeah, mate, Briedis, yeah, not Jai Opetaia, he's fine.
But this past weekend, Briedis was in the O2 Arena after and during commentary and dressing up like a clown, Mario lobbying for a Jake Paul fight, but in reality, he was supposed to be there hyping up and trying to sell a unification between WBO champion Lawrence Okolie, who defeated Michal Cieslak in a horrible fight. I did a video on that if you want to see it. And you had Briedis approach Okolie in the ring dressed as Mario. So we don't know what's going on with Briedis right now, but that's another topic we're going to talk about. Ebony Bridges to face Maria Cecilia Roman for the IBF title at 118 pounds, March the 26th. On the Zone in the U.S., UK, and Australia on the undercard of Kiko Martinez versus Josh Warrington 2. What's Eddie Hearn's plans for Bridges, Shannon Courtenay, Jamie Mitchell, who's going to be next after that. If she wins, she's supposed to. We're going to talk about that. Main event, Australia has some competition in a new streaming platform, Stan. Sonny Bill Williams versus Barry Hall headlines the card. We're going to talk about that. And then, of course, the last 3 big topics. Jermell Charlo versus Brian Castaño 2 has been postponed. No certain date for that yet. Castaño had a bicep injury, but Tszyu versus Terrell Gausha, which was supposed to be a co-feature on that card, now is his own show in Minnesota, of all places. March the 26th. The undercard is not fully set yet. And then, of course, what is going on with George Kambosos and Vasyl Lomachenko with Russia and Ukraine currently at war, and Lomachenko and Alexander Usyk, Viktor Postol, other Ukrainian fighters taking up arms. So does that leave space for us to possibly get Devin Haney in June? Because right now it's March and June is not that far away, and it doesn't seem like this Ukrainian-Russian thing is going to end anytime soon. So let's start here. Let's play this post-fight interview from the brother of Tszyu, which I didn't get to hear, by the way, Nikita Tszyu, and after his debut fight, main eventing the KO Sports Fox Sports card, when he stopped Aaron Stahl in, what round was that? In 2.
Round 2.
All right, starting here. Take your time out. Like the video, subscribe. Follow us both on Twitter, me at T Street Controversy and Big J at Old Mate Big J on Twitter. And down below the description box is the links to the WBC app powered by the Vive Network for Roku, Android, Apple. Thanks for watching. Take your time out, like the video, subscribe.
I'll leave here and say, this looks like it's more fun than being an architect.
Much funner. I didn't expect it to be like this. It was kind of shocking at first, but once I got a little bit more comfortable, I started to really enjoy myself.
How did you feel in the first couple of moments of that first round?
I honestly don't know. The adrenaline was just pumping through my veins. There were a bit of nerves. Just felt like I was in a different environment. I've never been in something like this.
Let's take a look at the action from the knockout now and just see how you stopped Aaron Stahl here tonight. But that left hand certainly took a toll on him eventually.
Yeah, there was a lot of straight lefts going, and
I'm guessing you're saying it went to plan.
yeah, or didn't go fully as to plan. You can never expect what happens in a fight, but there were moments that worked, moments that didn't work, and it was a valuable experience.
There was a nice moment before the fight with your grandfather Boris in the dressing room. What did he have to say to you just before you came out?
Just be smart. Be smart. Don't lose yourself, and enjoy the moment. This happens once in a lifetime, a pro debut.
He usually also says, don't get hit. Got tagged a couple of times, but you wore them pretty well.
Yeah. Well, I like getting punched. I feel like I got a little scar on my... Yeah, a little bit of it, and yeah, I love it.
I guess as they say in the Zoo Clan, welcome to the club. That was phenomenal. Tim, coming over and have a quick chat. He was in the corner barking instructions in Russian to you. Did you hear him while you were in the ring?
Yeah, well, him and my uncle are the two voices that I only hear. Everything else drowns out.
Tim, what were you saying? What did you think first off of Nikita's performance here tonight?
Flawless. Look, there's little mistakes, but besides that, flawless. Look what he did. He just dominated.
What was the advice you were trying to issue to him during the fight itself?
I don't even remember. I was just shouting whatever.
So you weren't quite as big a lunatic as your father was when he was watching you in one of your early fights, but you're still pretty animated there. It was great to watch.
I was trying to stay quiet. I was trying to stay composed, but I'm never going to be like my dad.
That was never going to happen again. What's up next for you, mate?
A bowl of ramen.
A bowl of ramen. What about next time in the ring, though? Anybody in mind, or just going to see what comes?
Whatever Glenn and Igor come up with, that's who I verse. I listen to their orders. I trust them with my life. So whoever they put in front of me, I'm going to fight.
It was quite the build-up. The hype was enormous. You lived up to the hype tonight. Congratulations. Well done.
All right, so once again, that is one of the other sons of Costa Tszyu and the brother of WBO #1 contender with 154-pound contender, Tszyu, the undercard. Dennis Hogan, former 154-pound and 160-pound title contender, took on Wade Ryan in one, and then Liam Wilson versus a Joe Noynay. Now let's start with Liam Wilson. Where is he right now in his career? Where is he ranked? What division is he in? And why was this fight important for him?
Well, he's a 130-pounder. Now, the reason for this fight, it was so important because it was a rematch from his previous fight on the Tszyu Spark undercard. If you remember, Liam Wilson got knocked the fuck out in the last fight. Looked terrible. His defense looked like shit house, and Noynay had it all over him. And proved that, I don't know how people saying it was an upset. Noynay had twice the amount of experience and was a champion. How was that fight an upset?
I remember, did a video on that.
Exactly. Liam Wilson was a novice fighter, only had 10 fights to his name. 10 fights to his name, and yet he was the favourite. Anyway, but Noynay cleaned his clock because Liam Wilson's defence ain't that great, right? But the significance was it was a rematch. It was, wasn't going to be a repeat or revenge. Obviously, he got a spectacular knockout, very similar to Jesus Quadro back in 2018 or 2019. Anyway, same left hook, carbon copy, looked fantastic. But the thing was, Joe Noynay weighed in almost 4 kilos over the weight limit and looked like absolute shit. He looked bloated, he looked lazy, he looked terrible. So, to Liam Wilson's credit, he took the fight on because they were debating whether he's never ever going to have a fight.
According to according to BoxRec, Liam Wilson weighed in at 129.5, but it said here that Noynay weighed in at 138 and 3/4, almost 139. That's crazy. Did that take place at 130 or 135?
Yeah, it was 130. 130. It was a 135. It was 4 Noynays.
And they still allowed to go on.
Yep,
He had
they allowed him to go on. Money. Yep. Well, I mean, I think they said on commentary he's still got the money in his pocket. So, but surely the WBA would pin him for coming overweight, and that's massively overweight.
Yeah, he's penalized in some type of way. There had to be some type of fine or something, because
he got knocked the fuck out pretty badly.
He's Noynay was ranked number 4 by the WBC. Number 14.
4 or 14?
14 by
4 or 14?
14 by the WBC. 14.
Yep, 14 by the WBC, 14 by the IBF, and 6 by the WBF.
Correct. So very, very quality win.
Quality opponent.
And revenge, against someone who had beat him before. Now, Dennis Hogan, Wade Ryan, I didn't come in until about round 5 or 6 or so, as we were talking about. From what I've seen, now he's targeting a world title outside of he wants to be back in world title contention. And right now, to be honest, from what I've seen, I'm not sure. How did he look, in your opinion, against Wade Ryan?
Well, he looked good. I mean, he completely neutralized Wade, but then again, I feel that Wade neutralized himself. So, because, Wade was on a hot run. He had 4 fights, 4 wins in a row. He was beating people, knocking people out, fighting world-class international opponents, and then he comes up against Dennis, and he just looked he looked like a club fighter that was well out of his depth. Dennis just neutralized him, and Dennis won every round. I mean, the scores were 116, 111, bullshit. 117, I think 110, but one judge had it 120, 108. And that's the one I agree with, because Wade, the amount of fucking rabbit punches, there must have been about 25, 30 rabbit punches from each fight. The ref had a really bad run. It was terrible.
So it was a sloppy fight, basically.
It was a sloppy fight.
Sloppy,
sluggish, sloppy fight. It didn't look good for either guy.
That's what it looked like to me. That's what it looked like.
Well, that's what they said in commentary, and they were absolutely correct. I mean, Dennis got the win, and it was a good win to Dennis. But I'm actually thinking that Wade, because I called that fight 50-50, right? Because I thought, Dennis is at the arse end of his career. Wade's coming along nicely. I thought Wade would have picked him. But, no, Wade looked bloody terrible. And I'm a little bit disappointed because I actually wanted Wade to win. So, but, Dennis has got the win. And, good on him. Now he can go on and compete for the IBO world title. But, yeah, I mean, based on that performance, it wasn't a bargain bet. No one could say off that performance that, that was a great fight and, he's going to be world champion material. No. But he got the win, and that's the most important thing. He really neutralised Wade and just completely outclassed him. So, and it was a very scrappy, sloppy fight, but, Dennis looked good and Wade looked bad, if that's a fair assessment. That's a fair assessment, because, he completely neutralised him.
So what's supposed to be next for Dennis? He's trying to get
IBO title fight against, they said there was some Polish and English bloke having their fight, and the winner of that will fight Dennis for the vacant IBO 154 title, which is nothing to sneeze at. I mean,
Yeah.
Most boxers wouldn't say no, well, depending on where they're from, but most Australian boxers wouldn't say no to an IBO title. So it's nothing to sneeze at. So,
well, on to the main event. The brother of Tszyu versus Aaron Stahl, debut. He's a 154-pounder, just like his brother. Knocked out this Aaron Stahl into. I got a chance to watch that fight in its entirety. And, for a debut, that's what you want your fighter to do. So we really can't be too, or at least I know I'm not going to be really too critical on him because, this was supposed to be a showcase and to start building him up. But it was interesting to see that he was main eventing. And also he came out to the Undertaker music. And being though Tszyu was the Soul Taker, we thought, the music would be more suited to him. But what do you think about Nikita Tszyu so far, and what do you want to see him go, like in the next, let's say, year or so?
Well, I liked it. I mean, you can't really criticise this debut. Remember, he's had 6 years out of the ring. So for someone that had 6 years out of the ring, that pro debut, I think he did pretty well.
Yeah, I saw that on his amateur record page that, you know, he was out of the ring for so long. Is there any reason why?
Yeah, he's an architect. He wanted to get an architect degree. So he's got brains in his head. Yeah, and architects, those are smart motherfuckers. They're not dumbasses. So, that's the reason why that he left the ring for so long, because he went and got his architect degree.
Mm-hmm.
So, architectural, was that even a word? Anyway, he's an architect. And, I thought he did pretty well for a debut. And what thing is now is that how many of those 154ers that got beat by his brother are going to line up to have a crack at him?
Yeah. Yeah, and
Joel Camilleri, Dennis,
No Limit definitely has a nice stable of them to throw at him.
That's exactly right. There's a lot of those blokes at 154 that would be like, well, you know, I can get revenge by sort of taking out the brother. It's a bit sad, but and there'll be a lot of guys that would, line up and say, well, I'll fight the kid. So anyway, even just to get the Zoo name under their card.
You know, I mean, one thing I'm hoping is that they don't try to move him too fast.
Yeah.
You know,
well, the one thing I don't want for Nikita is to do the same shit Tim's been doing, to fight all these blown up welterweights. Don't do that shit. Fight actual 154ers, because there's plenty of them around. So I don't think he needs to fight exactly the same guys that Tim fought, but even in a couple of years or so, you still have a chance of if Zerafa's still around, he'll probably be at 160. But basically, guys like Wade Ryan, Dennis Hogan, God knows Joel Camilleri. Even I'm knowing these names now. Yeah, so they got a nice stable of guys they can throw at him. But is there any plans? I'm guessing they're going to keep him coming out every couple of months or so, throwing him on cards. But I just hope that they don't move him too fast. And basically what they did with him as a debut and main eventing, I don't think they can keep doing this. I mean, it's good that they're trying to capitalize off of the Zoo name, and it's like, he can sell these tickets, but it's just a little, scary because of those names we talked about. We don't really know if he's ready for those names yet. No, I don't think he is. I mean,
there's not really enough there.
No, I think he needs to have a good 10 fights or so with club fighters and then start moving up. But the problem is, by the time he does all that, the Joels, the Dennises, the Wades, these guys are all in their 30s now. So
that's why I said
he doesn't have a lot of... A couple of years, Dennis won't be around. Yeah. So, because he quoted in their interview, one more loss and he's done. Yeah. So Wade will be 34, Joel will be 33. So these guys will start being past their best, and even if Nikita fights and be like, well, these guys were at the end of their prime anyway. So he needs to keep at the stable of young prime 154 fighters. I just hope he just doesn't fight a whole bunch of blown up welterweights like his bloody brother did. So that's the one thing I don't want him to do.
On to the next topic. This weekend, Skye Nicolson of where's she from? She's from Queensland, right?
I think she's from New South Wales.
Yeah, looking at her box rec, it says she's from there, but I don't know. 26 years old. She's listed at 5'6". She's fighting in the featherweight division this weekend on the zone here in the States and Australia and in the UK. She's going to be taking on a fighter by the name of Jessica Juarez. And
she's a Queenslander. She's from Meadowbrook. That's around southeast Queensland.
Now, this is her debut. Now, what's the story with her? Like, what's all the hype?
She was an Olympian. She was an Olympian. She was in the Olympic team for last year that went off to Japan and got to the semis and lost a very, very close fight to get to the bronze medal fight. Okay. But she just didn't do enough to win that fight. So, because Jeff Fennick was in there saying that, she didn't actually do enough, and she really didn't. So, she got to the quarterfinals of the Olympics, and she just didn't do enough to win it. It's like, she's got the talent, but she wasn't, aggressive enough. I remember in the corner they were telling her, you need to be more aggressive, and she just went through the motions. So, she needs to be a little bit more aggressive in the ring. Sorry, go ahead.
I'm gonna play her interview from earlier today from the press conference And she's going to be fighting this weekend on the undercard of Chocolatito Gonzalez versus Julio Cesar Martinez and Mauricio Lara versus Emilio Sanchez. Mauricio Lara, if you don't know, had that upset win over Josh Warrington. Josh Warrington is now, and then they had a fight where it ended via cut, and now Josh Warrington is fighting for the 126-pound IBF title, if I'm clear, in a couple of months. So basically, this is a very stacked card, and she's making her debut on this card in San Diego. And Canelo's going to be in attendance. And she got to take some pictures with Canelo earlier this week, too. I think it was yesterday.
She did, yeah. I saw those on the...
So Saturday night, your professional debut in San Diego must be ready to go.
Yeah, I'm really excited. It's been a whirlwind, huge journey, but I'm absolutely loving the process, and I cannot wait for Saturday night.
Like Anthony, fighting a fighter from San Diego, straight in your debut, going into a 3-0 fight, a very tough fight. But I know that in speaking to your team, you wanted to fight at a high level from your debut. You've had a very extensive amateur career, and you feel like you're going to see the best of Skye Nicolson against quality opposition. Yeah,
definitely. I think you've said it, the best Skye Nicolson's against quality opponents, and that's why I wanted this fight. I wanted someone who's coming in there to win, and that's where you're going to see my best performance.
I know as well plans to maybe go back to Paris to try and get that Olympic gold, but enjoying the pro scene so far. At the Canelo press conference yesterday, you was at the Taylor Serrano press conference, done some commentary for DAZN as well, but looking forward to actually fighting on Saturday night.
Absolutely loving all of it. I think the fight's just going to be the cherry on top, but I've absolutely loved the whole experience and just soaking it all up.
Looking forward to watching your pro debut on Saturday. Mark?
All right, so, what's the buzz about her over in Australia? Like, are big things expected?
Well, she has to prove that in the ring. I mean, there's not a lot of buzz with her because, people do see her on... Fox Sports it on the Zone when she does the commentary, and she did get mentioned. I think they did mention her last night on commentary. But it's one of those ones where you'll keep an eye on her, see what happens, and go from there. Because as we know, the most publicised female boxer in Australia at the moment is Ebony Briedis. But I hope she gets in there and proves herself. But it's one of those things you can't really get any hype behind them unless they've got a really, really. I mean, if she got to the Olympics and she won a bronze or a gold like Harry Garside did, he won the bronze, there would be a bit more interest in her. But at the moment, she's just the girl that shows up on the Zone, does commentary. Now she's going to fight, so I think there's going to be a buzz behind her. But once again, she has to prove that in the ring. So
okay,
I'm looking forward to see what she can come up with.
So we already did talk about Miras Briedis versus Jai Opetaia being delayed from April to 6th because Miras Briedis came down with COVID. But this last weekend, he was at the Lawrence O'Colly versus Michal Cieslak fight on the Zone, meaning Miras Briedis, and basically he was supposed to be there to talk up a fight between him and Lawrence O'Colly, because a fight with him and Lawrence O'Colly, a unification of titles, would trump a mandatory defense against his IBF mandatory Jai Opetaia. But the problem was, instead of trying to talk up the fight with O'Colly, he's there being a clown trying to talk up a fight with him and social media influencer Jake Paul. Now, to me, I find it disgusting, and I'm thinking to myself, he should just drop the title. And from everything I've learned and seen so far, Jake Paul is not going to not going to fight him, despite the fact that Miras Briedis has got a tattoo on his leg, made a rap video, dressed up as Super Mario. I'm going to pull this clip up for you really quickly. And he purchased, and this has been confirmed, 800,000 plus fake Instagram bots to fraudulently raise his social media profile. It's a mess. All that stuff I just told you in that short period of time, it is true, ladies and gentlemen. Now, from your standpoint, what is Opetaia doing? Have you heard anything? Any thoughts on him and from him on what Briedis has been doing? And are your thoughts still the same despite that Briedis may have lost his mind? Do you still think he still has it? It's still going to come out on top against Opetaia?
Well, I don't know. I mean, once these boxers start acting like fucking ass clowns, they normally get knocked out. And point in case Teofimo Lopez, he started acting like a dickhead, and he got put in his place. And I hope the same thing happens to Briedis, because I wanted, I said that Briedis would take out Jai, no problems at all. But if he's going to continue to act like a complete dickhead, then I hope Jai takes his fucking head off. So,
for real.
If he shows up and he trains properly and he's a serious Briedis, Jai ain't got a chance, because Jai's nowhere near Briedis' league. But if he fucks around and he dresses like a Mario, acts like a dickhead and doesn't take this fight seriously, which is the worst thing you can do as a fighter, right? Jai will knock him the fuck out. So
right now, I'm hoping, as I said, like as we talked about, it was clear he was supposed to be there to try to get out of his mandatory obligation. Look, O'Callaghan's right here. Let's try to put something together, give Opetaia some step aside money or whatever, and then the winner of the winner of O'Callaghan versus Briedis fights Opetaia. But Briedis is not going with the plan. He's trying to get out of everything and fight Jake Paul. So I'm guessing that if he were to get the Jake Paul fight, which I'm thinking there's like a 95% chance in my mind, 99% chance that he's not going to get it. If he did, he would have to drop his title. But the games that he's playing, it's like, okay, now you're holding up the division. Like, what are you going to do?
Yeah, won't the IBF strip his ass if he continues to fucker?
If there's one thing, they will strip him. So I'm sure that there's something going on where, because, they put so much, and I watched the entire card. Briedis was doing commentary, and did they gave him his own little bit. He did the Mauricio thing. They had him and O'Callaghan approach each other in the ring. They're trying to make this fight.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, Briedis is not going to turn down and pay to fight O'Callaghan to chase a rabbit down a hole and trying to get Jake Paul, that's chasing ghosts. It ain't going to fucking happen.
Yeah.
But having said
how far he's going.
Can he get out of the break? Because the Opetaia fight's already been announced. I mean, he can't get out of that now, can he? The IBF won't allow that.
I don't think so. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a confusing situation, but if it's already signed, then I don't think he's going to be able to get out of it. The contract is already there.
Yeah, because the same thing happened with Lopez and Kambosos. That fucked around for a year. The IBF said no. The contract is signed, so he's fighting Jai Opetaia, and I hope Jai takes his fucking head off. Yeah. But if Briedis takes it seriously and turns up the best Briedis, then Jai's going to have a very bad night.
Yeah, which is a good time to move on to the 31-year-old 6'6" Australian heavyweight Demsey, D-E-M, not with a P, Demsey McKean, 21-0 with 13 KOs. He is ranked currently, let's see where Demsey is. He's not ranked by the WBC from what I can see. He's only ranked by the IBF, number 12, and 11 by the WBO. But nonetheless, he's a ranked fighter fighting journeyman, and he did not look good. He does not look good. I'm going to go ahead and say it doesn't look like he has it. And, one step up in competition, just one level. I don't think he's going to, put it this way. Heavyweights like Fury, maybe even the Chinese guy, Zili Zhang, even a Charles Martin, Robert Helenius, Otto Wallin. I think these guys can beat him, and what I've noticed with Matchroom in the Zone, it seems as though they're really trying to baby him. What's your thoughts on him? Because right now, from what I've seen, and it's now 2 straight fights, and I'm like, this guy, you don't have it.
Yeah, no, I mean, his performance was mediocre at best. And, I mean, the fella that he fought, every time that fella fought and lost, he got knocked out, and Demsey didn't knock him out.
Yeah, Ariel Bracamonte is the guy's name. You got
to wonder, is Demsey just going through the motions and doing what he needs to do to get the win, or does he not have it? Yeah. And I don't know, because he's not really proven himself. I mean, with fights like that, you should walk in there, destroy the guy, and walk out.
Exactly.
That's not a fight that you should get a points decision on, you should knock those guys out. I mean, that's how you make statements.
That's what he's supposed to be doing. And with the matchmaking, you have to think, just like you said, they probably were thinking like, listen, he's got to knock this guy. We're picking somebody that, is supposed to be knocked out by him.
Exactly, and he's just not knocking them out. And, yeah, I mean, you have to answer, does he have problems with power? Does he have problems with this? Does he have problems with that? I mean, how many knockouts did he got on his record?
Dempsey 12. 13.
12, okay.
13.
13 knockouts. So that's a pretty high percent. You think that Dempsey would walk in there and knock that guy out. So, I mean, but no, he didn't do it. He didn't do it. And it's just like, okay, here was your chance to make a statement, and you mediocre at best. So, like, meh.
I mean,
he's not moving any needles, that's for sure.
Maybe it's a change of, like exposure. Maybe like being under the lights. I don't know. It's something definitely going on there.
Yeah, definitely. And whatever he's doing, if he gets another easy fight, he needs to knock him out cold, because he's not gonna, he really needs to start knocking guys out and making statements. He's not going to be able to move up the chain. And the second he does move up the chain and come up against someone else like an Otto Boylen or Alec Babic or whatever his name is.
As we were shooting this video, some news has come out. But before we get to that, involving Tszyu, Terrell Gausha, Brian Castano, Jamal Charlo. But before we get to that, a fight that I don't even know why, to be honest with you, I'm interested in is Sonny Bill Williams versus Barry Hall, which is going to be on an Australian streaming service called Stan, STAN. Any new updates on that? What we do know is Anthony Mundine's son still going to be on that card?
Not according to anything I've seen. I don't know. I mean, there hasn't been any really updates. The problem is if you don't have Stan, the streaming service, you don't know anything about it. So
yeah,
I'm just trying to see if there's any...
Get some marketing done.
Yeah, they do, because at the moment they've got 3 fights: Sonny Bill versus Barry Hall, Michael Hall versus Mitchell Stapleton, and Paul Fleming versus Jackson John England. Mm-hmm. That's the only fights they've got on BoxRec. That's going to be at the ICC Exhibition Centre in Sydney. I think it's promoted by Danny Green Promotions. That's all we know about at the moment. So is it going to be in competition to main event? They have to prove that, considering that main event also has Fox Sports to promote all those their cards, and Stan doesn't have any other network bar themselves. Is it going to be real competition? Who knows? Because Stan doesn't have any mainstream where main event does.
Yeah.
So main event feels all Fox Sports, where Stan doesn't have any. They've just got their own. They've got their own streaming services, but streaming services are pretty big these days.
So this is going to be somewhat 2 topics, but some news came out within the last hour that, here, I'm going to read this from ESPN's Mike Coppinger. The Jamel Charlo Brian Castano undisputed junior middleweight title rematch is now set for May the 14th on Showtime, sources tell ESPN. The WBO ruled that the fight can proceed, but must take place no later than May the 14th after Castano suffered a biceps tear that forced a postponement. Castano suffered the slight tear of his right biceps after he was accidentally elbowed by Terrell Gausha in sparring last month, per sources. PBC put together the impromptu card with Tszyu and Gausha to accommodate Tszyu and the WBO, who were calling for the mandatory. That's interesting right there. So it turns out my man Terrell Gausha had a master plan to try to upset the apple card. But to be honest, after I've had some time to think and understanding that, it's Tszyu's first fight here in the States, I'm not feeling so bad about the fight anymore like I was feeling before, even though I wish that Tszyu would have went after Murtazaliev, but I kind of get what they're doing. And also, they're putting some heat on the WBO and on PBC about getting that title shot. And Tszyu has been officially, and I got it up here on the screen, added to the Premier Boxing Champions website, which is going to lead me to believe that he may have a multi-fight deal with them, which would make sense. I would figure that if he's going to be fighting on a PBC card, that they're going to sign him with some type of option. But he's headlining his own card now in Minnesota in the Armory, which is a well-known boxing arena here in the States. Guys like Caleb Plant has fought there. The Darrell, the brothers, I believe, Benavidez at one point. Basically, it's a heavily used PBC arena, and they're known to get some nice crowds. So it's now going to be Tszyu versus Gausha headlining the March 26th card in Minnesota. And right there, that's amazing right there to me alone that Tszyu is going to be headlining his own card. But your thoughts?
Yeah, I think that's an actual No Limit card, that one. I think No Limit's taken over that, and they're going to be doing it themselves, or it's going to be in conjunction with PBC, one of the two.
I believe it is going to be in conjunction because, according to the promotional work, it's going to be in conjunction.
Yeah, but I think from what I saw on Fox TV last night, that No Limit's pretty much ran that show, and PBC's just,
helping with all the logistical stuff. That's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, because I think I've seen posters. I think it's an actual No Limit card. I saw something on Twitter or something the other day.
Fully a PBC card. Okay.
I don't think it is. Just from what the publications I saw. So let me see if I can find it. I think Tszyu had it up the other day. Because when you see the cards, you see the promoter, their logo on the background, and they had No Limit.
So here's what I think. And by the way, they're charging $50. I have it up on the main event page. They're charging $60 for this. But here's what I think. My theory is.
Oh, hold up. Briedis versus Opetaia is May 11th on the Gold Coast. There you go. It's an update. That came in 15 minutes ago. There you go. So there you go. That is happening. So no more bullshit with Jake Paul or any of that crap. It's May 11th on the Gold Coast. There you go.
Okay.
That ties that loose end up. Sorry to cut you off.
I just retweeted what Tszyu, the promotional material he put on his page. It says No Limit pay-per-view, and then at the bottom, PBC, KO, main event, TGB, No Limit. Now, here's what I think. I think to satisfy Tszyu and the WBO, but more so Tszyu, I believe that PBC told No Limit, like, all right, listen, we'll give, this will be your card. This will be Tszyu's card, but we'll help put everything together for you. That's what it seems like to me. Because, the arena is PBC. They got PBC, Terrell Gausha is PBC. I can't remember, and I can't find it right now, but the fighters I saw that was supposed to be on the undercard of PBC. I really think that this is a PBC event, but, with all the, No Limit stuff behind it, or vice versa. But I don't think that they're doing this all by themselves, because in order to get on TV here, they need PBC.
Yeah, that's true. So they'll probably be doing the promotion where PBC will be in the background doing all the logistical work for them.
Exactly. That's the way I think it's going. That's the way I think it's going. And this is to satisfy Tszyu and No Limit to let Charlo Castaño go through. So they're like, all right, listen, we'll give you your own date. We'll give I'll hook you up with the venue. We'll help you with the promotional stuff, but this is going to be Tszyu's event. He's going to be headlining here in the States. We'll help you sell tickets. We'll get our guys on the card, get our guys to come, and just keep Tszyu and his team pacified while they can make that Gausha fight. While they can make
because that
Charlo Castaño fight. Yeah.
Well, that means that Tszyu won't get a shot, because if Charlo wins, he ain't going to get a shot for another year, if at all. Because if Charlo wins, it'll probably go to a third one. So this might actually be detrimental.
I won't be surprised, as we talked about before in the past, that, that maybe No Limit may get squeezed out. That's something, that has happened with promoters and PBC fighters, but all promotional companies really, like where, a fighter will come over to the States and they'll be like, why do you need them for? We'll only use them if we want to get you back over there, but let's build you and base you in the States. But so far, it seems as though Tszyu and his team are very aggressive to try to get that title shot. And I like that type of aggression promotionally.
Yeah, but I don't think it's going to happen for a long time.
We already talked about it because, with the Murtazaliev, and then, if Charlo moves up, whoever wins, the possibility of Tszyu fighting for a vacant title. That's the way I see it going. But anything else you want to say before we move on to talk about the last topic?
Yeah, I just got more news in regarding the Jai Opetaia fight. Justice Haney will be on the undercard.
Okay.
So Justice Haney will be back on May 11th on the undercard. He was supposed to fight Joseph Goodall, but he got COVID twice and all that. So he's on the undercard on the Jai Opetaia fight. But Tszyu, does what he needs to. I think, in my opinion, this might be a bit of a threat. He probably could have waited and fought on the undercard to the Castaño 2 fight, because there's still too many guys in line for Charlo. You'll never get Charlo.
Yeah.
But anyway, we'll see what happens. But what's the next thing on the list?
Lomachenko's at war. Ukrainian.
Oh yeah, Lomachenko, George. Yeah.
So right now George wants to return. I believe the date that was circulating around June the 5th.
June the 5th, June the 6th. Yeah, it'll be June the 6th in here in Australia. Because it'll be on Sunday.
There was talks of him having a deal to face Lomachenko on ESPN platforms, and I'm guessing over in Australia it would have been on a pay-per-view. It would have been a huge deal. But
it depends who it was with. If it was with Top Rank, it would have been. But if it was with the Zone, it would have been. It would have been interesting because I don't know if Main Event could showcase the Zone on their pay-per-view. Who knows? It could have been a bit of a logistical nightmare there. Top Rank, no problem, but with the Zone, I don't think the Zone has had Main Event hasn't had Zone had that.
Yeah, it probably in Australian in Australian territory. So here's how I think it would have went. If it was Loma versus Kambosos, if it was Top Rank, it would have been ESPN in the States and Main Event pay-per-view
in
Australia. If it was the Zone, it would be the Zone in the States, the Zone in the UK, and the Zone in the UK, and in Australia, there probably would have been a bidding war between who would pay more, the Zone in Australia, or would it be Main Event? That's where I think it would go.
Well, the Zone in Australia is only $3, so.
Yeah, but it would be about what network is going to put up the most money.
Yeah, true.
So
it would have been interesting. Yeah, but I dare say with the conflict at the moment, Loma George ain't going to happen. I don't think it will.
Yeah, because right now it's not looking like that. This is going to be over in June. There's even talk of Anthony Joshua and Usyk and Anthony Joshua 2 not happening. And it'll have to be an interim fight because there just won't be, their Ukrainian fighters just won't be available. And
exactly. They just won't be available.
And that opens up, for Devin Haney. It's unfortunate that it had to be this way, but, fight Devin Haney in, June or so in Australia. Devin Haney has already said, and Eddie Hearn is like, all right, we'll go to Australia. We'll meet your financial demands. Get it out the way, and then if Kambosos wins, the whole undisputed question is resolved. He will be, that is it. He is it in the division. But what do you feel? Like, do you feel it's going to happen? And of course, you already let it be known that you feel that Devin Haney can, that George Kambosos can beat Devin Haney.
Oh, yeah. I really think that if George wants to stay active, he doesn't want a long layoff. He should just fight Haney because the Loma thing is not going to happen at the moment. Exactly. He would have to be. They said that he would come to Australia for a camp. He'd have to be here by April, no later than early April, to have a good camp. That's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. So get Haney over here, fight him, and then move on to the next thing. Because there's a very small window to fight Lomachenko. Remember, he's 34 now. That window's only about a year, and then it's like, he was too old anyway. So I would fight Haney in June and then go after Loma straight after. That's what I would do.
It's not like you can't expect for Loma to say, all right, my country's going to war, and I'm going to stop everything I'm doing for my family and friends and loved ones, and let me go have this 8-week or whatever training camp to fight him over in a foreign country. It's just not going to work like that. There was already people spreading rumors about him leaving Ukraine, not to want to fight, but, he eventually, whatever will happen, he's there, him and other Ukrainian fighters in there, their country's at war. So right now, with the way things are going with that, it's a shame, but no telling where we're going to see Alexander Usyk or Lomachenko or even Russian fighters back in the ring anytime soon since they're facing sanctions. But if Kambosos was to have the perfect year, 2 fights this year, which usually these fights, especially with his all his belts, what 2 fights do you want to see him fight this year, like your personal opinion?
Oh, obviously Haney in June and Loma in November, December. Yeah, that's right.
That's what I meant.
And Loma in November, December. Yeah.
Haney in June, and then the winner, whatever's going to happen with that fight, Loma, and then sometime next year, 2023, April or May, Tank Davis. You know, and then you can start worrying about guys like Ryan Garcia after that.
Yeah, that's if Ryan Garcia keeps winning.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and then if George wants to move to 140, you know, there's always that possibility of a Teofimo rematch.
Possibly, but I don't see George going to 140 anytime soon.
Yeah, I don't see it. Yeah.
I don't see that. I don't see that at all. And there's no need. He's dominating with lightweight. Why would he want to go to 140?
Well, eventually the body, you know, got to move up.
Yeah, true. Yeah, true. But at the moment, he's got a good, solid 2-3 years at lightweight.
Yeah.
So,
all right.
considering his age, so.
I'm still sitting here looking at this Terrell Goucher Tszyu Terrell Goucher, $60. Like that's still kind of crazy to me. But
well, you remember the main event's been charging $60 since the bloody Horns.
Yeah, and they're not going to stop. Yeah, they're not going to stop. They're not going to just lower the price. But it's just like, wow, shit. So all right, closing thoughts.
Let's just hope everything goes well. Hopefully, Skye gets up. We've got those 3 title fights coming up in the few. Straight after all, so I get Ebony, Jai, Shanika. Hopefully, they can all win. Tim, how do you think he's going to go against Goucher?
I think it's going to go the distance. I think he's going to go the distance. If he does stop Goucher, I'm going to be surprised.
Fair enough, yeah, because this old mate has never been stopped. So, yeah, probably points decision.
And you got to deal with being, you know, in another country, you know, in an arena you've never fought, you know, for. So, you know, I would be shocked if it's the stoppage.
Fair enough. But, yeah, we'll just see how everything pans out. Hope everything goes smoothly and there's no more interruptions. So,
yeah.
That's all I've got to say.
Well, thanks for watching. Take your time out. Like the video, subscribe. Follow me on Twitter at T Street Controversy. Follow Big J at Old Mate Big J. Take your time out. Like the video. Thanks for watching. See you guys soon.